Hey everybody, Sky Spider here. I'm going to try something a little different on this video. This probably won't be a regular thing. I went to my friend's funeral yesterday and I'm having some little difficulties with, yeah, all of that. So I'm going to just turn the camera on and just feed and take care of things at the rate I normally work when I'm not on camera. And just talk some shit out. I think it'd probably do me pretty good to get this out of my system at least and into the ether. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm going to be feeding. I think I've got isopods. I've got little tiny things, and then we'll just see from there. But yeah, we'll see if you guys like this. And anyway, I might try it again in the future. Who knows? Alrighty, I have really no idea how to start this. So I'll start by telling you guys a little about what happened to my friend. There might be a lawsuit involved with this, so I'm going to change the details a little bit, so it's not identifiable. Can't be something that could be used in court or anything like that. But I mean, the same basic stories there. So a friend of mine, he's really young. He's my age, so I think he was late 30s, early 40s, somewhere in that range. Probably on the younger side of that. But no health problems at all that relate to this. But over the course of 1 week, he went to the emergency room 3 times for chest pains and thinking he was having a heart attack. And like the 3rd time, I believe it was by ambulance. And every single time they just looked him over and said, "Oh, you're young, you're fine, send him home. Said nothing wrong with you." And that 3rd time he got home, immediately climbed into the shower, and had a fatal heart attack. Like, what the fuck? And yeah, like, what do you even say to something like that? He honestly was one of the kindest people I've ever known, which is saying something because I run in a pretty awesome circle of friends. By the way, I stole a little idea from, oh god, what the hell is his name? The older British guy. Does a lot of breedings on his channel. Dave's Beastie Room, I think. Been looking for a way to move these while I'm filming, and yeah, beautiful idea, thank you. So yeah, the way my friend died was tragic enough. His partner is one of my closest friends, basically family, and yeah, just not an easy loss in any sense of the word. So I've had my own issues with the medical system. As you guys know, I'm frequently sick. Recently it's been my stomach. I just had my gallbladder removed not that long ago. It's not even been a year yet. And yeah, let me just start this part from the beginning. So I complained about my wrist. Tore a ligament in my right wrist. God, maybe 15 years ago or so. And my initial thing was just to leave a cast on it for however long. We'll see how it heals on its own, hopefully. And that didn't work, so next option, surgery. This is back when I lived in Oklahoma. Put it in a little bit of perspective here. And at this time, I was a professional musician. I go on tours off and on. And in between the tours, I take just whatever job I could find to fill the time, you know. Gotta pay the bills. At this point, I was a nighttime janitor at a law school, which was great. I got to listen to science podcasts all night and kind of be left to myself. I actually really liked the work. And just one night, moving that industrial strength vacuum cleaner up and down the stairs in the classrooms, and just ripped the ligament in my wrist from clean off the bone. And if you're wondering which ligament, it was the ulnar one. You can kind of see some of my surgery scars down there. My surgeon, fucking moron that he was, he used an old, outdated technique, which no one really uses, where you put sutures in the ligament itself. He put permanent sutures in my ligament, and he put dissolvable sutures in my skin. He got them backwards. And when I was doing the physical therapy afterwards, I told him I was feeling ripping sensations that felt like fabric ripping. It's the same thing I felt when I tore the ligament initially. And he's like, oh no, you're just imagining it. You just need to push harder, get through your physical therapy. At one point, I finally started to feel a suture underneath the skin that was forcing its way out of the surgery site. And that's when I went to another surgeon for a second opinion and got booked for surgery, a couple days later to get those out, as well as a ton of scar tissue. And yeah, that didn't really work. I was now in chronic severe pain. Had almost no use of my hand at that point. And just life was agony for a good while. It took me over a year to get my disability checks paid in, and another year before Medicare kicked in. So until I got Medicare, I had no treatment for my chronic pain. Had no way to pay for medical bills, so couldn't do anything about it. And as soon as I could, I got into pain management therapy, and I've been on fucking opioids for 15 years, which I hate. And I've had a total of 6 surgeries on my wrists now. We've shortened the ulna. We've had to remove the hardware from shortening the ulna and reattach the ligament again because it keeps ripping off. I had someone who I thought was going to fuse my wrist, but instead they insisted on just reattaching the ligament and seeing if it worked this time. And then left me with no pain medication for recovery. For someone, with severe chronic pain to begin with and a tolerance to opioids, yeah, they give me nothing. So fuck that guy. So yeah, my wrist has just been failure after failure after failure. I'm always reluctant to reveal this, but fuck it. Haters gonna hate. Fuck assholes. So some of you, it might have been obvious if you clocked me, I am trans. I was one of the first people in the country to get approved for Medicare and Medicaid transition surgeries. So, God, I want to say 2015, I think. I had my bottom surgery done. And the guy who did it, he, there's no good way to say it. If you think of the outer labia like the zipper of your jeans, he left me zipped 3/4 of the way up instead of, separating them like common sense would dictate. This led to me not being able to dilate, after surgery, and after a year of waiting to get approved for it, I had to go through another surgery to repair it and basically unzip my jeans. And so yeah, I've had a second surgery to fix that. And because of the lack of ability to dilate, my parts are only 1 inch deep, which thank God I'm a lesbian. And yeah, I got constant urinary tract infections and skin infections and all kinds of stuff from just not being able to get into that little pocket you created. So that's another surgery I've had to have twice. I was also one of the first people to get top surgery covered as well. So I went to go have my top surgery. Told the guy that I wanted silicone implants. I knew they were ones you don't have to change every 10 years. You know, they're softer, like just all the benefits to them. They're not the risk people used to have to take to get them. And the morning of the surgery, after I'd done 2 weeks worth of coursework for school to get ready to take the time off, I show up and he's like, well, I fucked up. I ordered the wrong kind of implants, so we can do the saline today, or if you don't like them, you can come back in like 2 months and get the silicone ones done, which that would have meant missing 2 months of school, or missing 2 weeks of school, 2 months into the semester, so right around frickin' midterms. So given the shitty situation, I went with the saline. As expected, I hated them. They were hard, they got cold really easily, which is not great for the part of the country I live in. Yeah, I didn't like them at all. I also had a seroma, which is a bruise of the breast tissue, which can take years to clear up if you don't drain it manually. So I had to go back under the knife and have those redone. Very happy with them now, of course. Then the most recent thing is my stomach. So actually, I can put one in front of that. So after my bottom surgery, I started having issues with my restless leg syndrome. In my case, it's been something that's popped up a couple times when I was younger. Like it's a thing that happens like maybe one night out of every month or two. And yeah, it's like being hooked up to a car battery between my toes, which makes my leg completely convulse. That's kind of how my body reacts to that. And one of my post-surgery doctors, she put me on a medication for it. I'm going to do a little cut here because I have to go get feeders for the next shelf. Okay, so we're holding on. I get this medication for my RLS. Alrighty, I am back with feeders. Doing the baby shelf now. Get ready for hashtag #SinesThisTV. So yeah, I got prescribed a medication for my restless leg. My doctor didn't really do a ton of research on the med, just that it was good for restless leg. So she missed the part where the longer you take it, the more severe it makes your restless leg permanently. So I should not have been on this long. Ended up staying on it for 3.5 years. And so now my restless leg is almost nightly. It's sheer torture. There's no other way to describe it. Oh, hi Zoidberg, I'm getting joined here by the kitty. Thought he was gonna stay on the couch and catch some sleep. So yeah, she ends up taking me off of it because I keep throwing up at night. and we noticed one of the side effects is nausea. So that's the only reason I came off of it, and getting off of it was way worse than I ever would have expected. It was just my legs twitching every 5 seconds for 3 straight nights. So yeah, that was a problem enough in itself, but now it's a permanent thing. But with these new, more severe restless leg syndrome issues, I keep begging my doctors to help me fix it, and no one's got any answers. Every med we try is making me more and more nauseous. But like every med we try also has these warnings of the longer you take it, the worse it's going to make your symptoms. And I should probably add that restless leg is very, very genetically similar to Parkinson's and uses the same medications. And there is a chance mine can progress to Parkinson's as I get older. So I do need to make sure those meds still work the rest of my life. So anyway, we keep trying stuff, nothing. After almost 10 years of this, I finally convinced my doctor to send me to a specialist. And he finds this neurologist that specializes in restless leg and similar things. I go in, and after 10 seconds of looking at my chart, he goes, "Oh, that anxiety med you take, that blocks your ability to produce dopamine, and lack of dopamine causes restless leg. So you need to get off this med." Wow, would have been nice to know that before I'd taken that med for 15 solid years. Because now my body's dependent on it. My GP tells me just go off of it cold turkey, no problems. And first couple of days I'm off of it, I notice my heart rate is spiking, so I check on my smartwatch, and just standing up from the couch is making my pulse go to 170, 180 beats per minute, which is like ridiculous. If you've never looked at your at a normal heart rate, it's like 60 to 80 beats per minute is about normal for a healthy adult. So I did some research on my own, found out that you're never supposed to come off that med suddenly, and it can kill you. And I had to convince my doctor he was wrong and talk him into prescribing enough so I could spend a year tapering off of it. It took a little over a year, but I'm finally off of it. And I'm thinking, well, hey, what about with this one? If I hadn't caught that and just let my doctor do what he wants to do, I could be dead right now, the same way my friend went out. Because that easily would have led to a heart attack. And then the most recent thing is my fucking stomach. So 7 years where almost every single night I'd end up throwing everything up that I'd eaten the previous day. Bile, things I'd eaten like 7 hours ago. It was fucking awful. And begging my doctors to help me and getting like nothing. About 2 years ago, I finally got in with a specialist in gastroenterology, and he's running all these tests that are going nowhere. He's not really listening to me when I tell him, hey, can we try something else? And finally, as I'm talking to my half-sister, she mentions that it sounds like the same symptoms she had when her gallbladder needed to be removed. And as we're talking more, she's like, oh yeah, Dad had that done too. We share a dad. And so I finally just went up to my surgeon, or my specialist, and I was like, could it be my gallbladder? Can we just cut it the fuck out and take our chances? Because I can't live like this. And I finally get him convinced enough to at least do a scope. So basically, this is like a surgery. They put you under, and in my case, they stuck a camera from the front and the back until they met in the middle, so they could check every last part of my digestive system. to zoom in a little more now. So yeah, that's the process I had to go through. It was inconclusive. Couldn't find anything that meant anything, they said. So I was like, you know what? Just take the chance. We don't need a gallbladder. Cut mine the fuck out. And I basically had to beg him to do the surgery. Because, again, I can't live the way I was living. So he agrees to it. I get booked for the surgery. Show up, have the surgery. When we're doing the follow-up afterwards, I'm like, well, did you find anything wrong while you're in there? Because he hadn't told me anything. No one called me after the surgery. This is like 2 months later. He's like, oh yeah, when we looked in your gallbladder after removing it, it was full of polyps. Just rotten to the core. Of course you're having all these issues. Well, where the fuck was that 7 years ago when I started begging for someone to help me? It's like, if that had been something like my heart, would I have ended up the same way as my body? I was just sitting here for all these years suffering and suffering. And then since surgery, I've had, God, more than 20 impactions, which is where your intestines get solidly blocked up and nothing can move through, which can either kill you like it killed my biological mom by rupturing your insides, which I told them is what happened to her, or it can just, God, it can kill you in so many ways. It's really bad. But I can't seem to get my doctors to care. No one's done anything about the impactions since I started having them. And I've just been kind of left to my own devices. Like, luckily my other half is a nurse, so when I needed to be manually disimpacted, don't Google that, by the way, that's a horrible thing. At least someone listened to me and was able to do it, because I've needed that more than once. And I don't wish that on anybody. So yeah, I've once again got doctors just not listening. And I have to wonder, like, first of all, thank God, in my case, none of them have been extremely severe, like sudden things like cancer or heart attack or anything like that. But, geez, what if they had been? And then, what about as I get older and they are? Like, it's gonna happen to all of us eventually. Like, you can't just sit here and think you're indestructible. Like, I for damn sure know I'm not indestructible. But, like, with all of mine, none of the consequences have been fatal. They've been life-changing, like especially with my hand. And now with the fact that I can't eat 80% of my diet and I'm autistic, so we don't exactly have a big palate to work with to begin with. We're very well known for being unbelievably picky. But yeah, like, how do I go forward trusting doctors after this? I can't, for the life of me, figure it out. So, like, I'm over here not only mourning the death of a super close friend that was just taken so suddenly, and, like, one of the kindest and best people wiped off the planet. But yeah, I also gotta wonder, am I gonna go the same way? Am I gonna go to the emergency room and just be told, oh yeah, you're fine, fuck off? And then I go home and listen to the I'm fine, and then just die and have to have Rachel come home and find me like that. Like, I don't want that for her. Just, yeah, you can see how this can really haunt you after a while. And like since his death, this has been really sitting with me. And like I don't sleep well. Like I already have insomnia issues, especially with the RLS. But yeah, what do you do next? Like I really don't know. So that's the kind of stuff that's sitting with me here. And like I used to have a therapist for this kind of shit, but her practice shut down, and I haven't found another one that takes my insurance, and I have been looking for years at this point. So yeah, that gets you basically caught up with me and what's going through my head. Why I've been a little on the depressed side lately. Sorry, trying to show a cute little baby. We're not going to focus. Well, that's good enough. So I don't know. What do you guys think? How do you handle this? Like I've got a doctor's appointment tomorrow for the guy that took my gallbladder out. How do I do this appointment without being a dick? Because like I'm gonna want to say shit like, hey, you've been ignoring me and not listening to what's going on and delaying treatment, and I literally just had a friend die from that, so fuck you. Like, I'm autistic. I'm not exactly good with shit like this. Oh, great. Got mold in here with one of my H. chilensis spiderlings. Fuck it, I'll set that aside and rehouse it in a little bit. So yeah, my brain's just been a mishmash of bad thoughts lately, and I don't like being in this position. Sorry, I'm focusing on catching a very, very small roach. Nope, I was hoping to get that on camera. This is one of the huntsmen I'm describing the species for. Cute little baby Frank Soma sent me. Sent me a few of these. Oh, speaking of, here's another one. Ah, this little fucker's on the lid. I gotta feed that one later. I don't take a chance feeding them when they're on the lid. So yeah, that's pretty much all the story time I got for that topic. I'll give you a really sweet, good story about my friend, Zoidberg. We've at the funeral, it wasn't like a traditional funeral with like the body there or anything. It was basically friends and family all getting together to tell good stories, and like we all made pieces for a quilt, and that's getting put together for him, for his partner, and for them to have going forward. So yeah, we were all just talking about really fun stories of like one of the nicest and most generous people ever. So when we were picking where to move after we once I was getting ready to go to grad school and we were getting sick of living in Oklahoma. Oh, I totally forgot the side point. The doctor that fucked me up because I was in Oklahoma, and they have really shitty tort reform laws. They prevented me from suing, so I got nothing for losing my ability to be a musician for the rest of my life. One little side story to that I completely left out, because everybody asked me, did you sue him? Did you get a bunch of money for it at least? I'm like, no. Republicans don't like you being able to sue rich people, and doctors are rich people. One of the big reasons why I absolutely despise Republicans is because they help fuck up my life. But yeah, that's negative topic. Let's get back to good stuff. So I'm moving up here to start graduate school. I was trying to decide between a few schools, and Rachel was seeing where she could find work when we moved. And one of the schools I was looking at happened to be the same hometown as one of my closest friends and her partner. Excuse me. Oof. Sorry about that. I'm probably going to mute those sneezes. I don't even see where the roach went. I think I dropped it in the feeder bin. So yeah, one of the schools I was looking at, same town as my best friend and her partner. And I was like, hey, let's go live near really close friends. That's one of the hardest parts of moving, is not knowing anyone when you get there. So we move up, and immediately he invites me to come play Magic the Gathering at his favorite shop. And hell yeah, always down for some Magic. But at this time, I'd gotten out of playing some of the more competitive stuff. I was taking a break from it, and I was more interested in Commander at the time. And it was a fledgling format. Not everybody really knew it. But I showed up at the shop with a couple Commander decks, and it's just EDH at that point. Time-wise, this is probably right after the first set of Commander exclusive decks. And I'd sit at the shop and like have my decks out and try and make eye contact with other players. Everyone just wanted to play Standard and Draft. And like, if you were lucky, once a month they play Legacy. And so I didn't really have a place to play Magic. And that was killing me because it's like one of my big hobbies. And so he went up to the shop owners without telling me. And he's like, hey, I hear there's a demand for EDH night. You guys should really start one. And our friend that just moved up here from another state is like really good at the format and will help you set the league up. Oh, there's the roach I dropped. So he planted the seed, and next thing I know, we're starting a Commander League that eventually grows to like 60, 70 people a week, with myself and one other person putting it together. And basically gave me a home. Like, I never felt unwelcome after I moved here. I felt like I was still at home. And that was all because I had a shop to go play Magic at in the format that I loved. And if it weren't for him, that league might not have happened for quite a while. And I either would have had to play formats I hate, which might not have had me playing all that much, which would have led to me not making a lot of the friends I made. And just, yeah, I owe it all to him for that. Because he was just a really good guy. He'd always go out of his way to help people when they needed it. With absolutely zero judgment. That means a lot. There's not a lot of people like that in the world. And unfortunately, we are at least one less now. Which is fucking tragedy. So yeah, if you know a really, really good person in your life, enjoy every fucking minute with them. Never know how long it's going to last. So yeah, I have no idea how engaging that was, or if you guys enjoyed it or hated it or what's going on, but I don't know. Just my attempt to get out of my own head for a little bit and maybe have someone give me some perspective. I don't know. Because I really need to get a good fucking night's sleep. I am sick of just being awake all the time. I'm sorry, I gotta put all those little square enclosures back on the shelf. They all sit on a kitchen plate together, so they're easier to move. Don't know if we'll see this one. This is one of my namesake spiders I'm working on. Come on, I gotta have some first instar roaches left. There we go. And we'll finish off with a couple of Australian huntsmen here. I grab my catch cup because sometimes they like to bolt around a little. They're usually pretty chill though. For the record, these guys love it dry. You're not supposed to water them. But every desert species has access to dewdrops in the morning. So I always fill the water dish. That's just my personal technique. I highly recommend it though. Wonder if I can get this thing to take a mealworm. Did that work? Yep, ran down and got it out of the substrate. Beautiful. So yeah, this is probably going to be a bitch and a half to edit, but there you go. Whoa, don't run around like that, please. Thank you. Eventually, I'm going to get these all moved into net enclosures and hung up in the room somewhere. I know, not the most exciting angle for things, but again, we're trying something very weird and different today. And I know you guys don't want to see me feed 50-some Nat and Acharon babies. But literally the next thing I have to do is give individual fruit flies to all of those. Fun, fun. Do that off camera though. So yeah, that's the story, you know, about my medical shit now. Yeah, I try not to groan about it too much. I can't really do anything to prevent it at this point. I get a little frustrated when people don't realize that your life can be turned upside down on a fucking instant and leave you in the situation I'm in, where you lose your passion and career, which for me was music and painting. I can't do fucking either one of those anymore. Where you're stuck on medication the rest of your life, because I can't stop taking pain meds ever. Just because my hand never stops hurting. My diets had to change, which has been less than easy for an autistic person. I can't stress that enough. You just think at 40 you got your life figured out, and then literally everything fucking changes out of nowhere. Doesn't necessarily happen just because you're turning 40, but just takes one little thing, or in my case, a collection of little things. Yeah, I don't know what else I have to say. Let me know what you guys thought about this video, if you want more of these in the future. Like, it's not going to be a common thing by any means. But, yeah, let me know what you think. Kind of curious. If you got any actual decent advice. I'm sure I'll get a few transphobes in the comments, because fuck you assholes. Yeah, you don't really bother me. I just delete them. I'm pretty thick-skinned. Yeah, that's really about it. I'll give you one cool thing, one positive to talk about real quick. The earrings I'm wearing. Let me turn this light so you can see a little more. Actually, that's not working at all. These are acrylic mounted fangs from my first ever non-pet store tarantula. I had 2 rose hairs early on, but my first real tarantula was Theraphosa blondi. She's one of my favorite spiders I've ever owned. And after she died, I took the fangs from her last molt and had them made into these plugs. It was like some of my favorite earrings. So, something cool and random. Give you something positive today. But yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.